Hello everyone, this is Megan here with process video number 15. I have a bunch of stuff here that I'm going to try to use up, some small embellishments and lots of scraps of paper. I'm not sure what I want to use for a title yet, so I picked out a bunch of letters. And these are just some small pieces and scraps, and I'm going to be using orange, blue, and yellow mainly for this one. And I'm going to again try to use up some of those stickers that I have a really hard time using. They're like all robots and planets and spaceships and things like that. I don't end up using any on this layout, but I'm going to try to use them every time anyways. And I just cut down my photos so that I can fit them side by side on the paper. And I'm going to pick out this yellow paper I love from my Jen Hadfield homemade paper pad, and I don't want to waste a single bit of it, so I am cutting out some of the yellow flowers where I'm going to be matting my photo so that I can cut those out and use them as embellishments. And I'm going to put both photos side by side on this yellow paper. I don't have a lot of yellow in my stash, so that's another reason that I want to make this sheet last as long as I possibly can. So I'm just cutting that down, and I like that, but you can't really see it too well on that orange paper, so I want something to make the yellow stand out. And I'm trying a bunch of different things, and eventually I find this photo mat here. I think that it is 5x7 size. I'm not completely sure, but it has this really pretty blue design on it with like crosses and flowers. And I want to use it, but it's not the right size. So I cut the center out, and I basically cut it up into little pieces so that it will fit all the way around the outside of my photos. And now I'm just trying to figure out the best way to get them pieced together so that it doesn't really look like they're all separate pieces. So I'm kind of cutting off so that the pattern lines up. I think you see my head a lot in these shots. I'm trying to really get it lined up perfectly, so sorry about that. Takes a little bit more maneuvering to get it exactly how I want it. These photos are of my husband and my youngest son Gavin and our dog George. Daddy was home from work that day and hanging out with us, had breakfast with us, so they had some waffles at the table. And then Georgie and Gavin were looking out the door at the same time. I think Daddy might have gone outside, so they were looking out to see where he was at. Alright, I think this is the last piece, and there is a hole in that piece that I do need to cover up where the paper pad was had the hole to put on a hook at the store, and it's just above the picture on the right, but I end up covering it up with the title. Now I'm fussy cutting around those yellow flowers that I saved from my photo mat. I know I want to use that cut apart piece that says today is a stay at home kind of day. And so I'm starting a small pile up there of the things that I want to use, because I know I want to use that little scrap of the blue patterned paper, my flower, and my die cut. And right now, or my cut apart, sorry, not my die cut. So right now I am cutting some triangles out of this book page. And I think, oh yeah, I'm going to line them up and make a banner at the bottom with them. And I like that a lot, but I don't think, and in some places, especially where the background paper is a little bit lighter, it's kind of hard to see them. So what I end up doing is finding some little scraps of blue cardstock yeah, this bright blue right here. And I'm just going to tape them all down on there and cut around them so that they each have a small blue border around them. And that really gives a pop of color, and they stand out really well against the background after this. So now I'm just going to cut around each one. And I really feel like I got really creative with this page, and I loved the way it came out in the end. When I first started it, I was thinking it was just going to be a typical, a bunch of layers, maybe a cluster in the top, a cluster in the bottom. But I decided that I wanted the main part of the layout to be across the center of the page. So I don't really do anything at the top or the bottom, which is a little bit different for me. And I also got some different styles in here, like with the banner across the bottom. And I also do some mixed media, not anything elaborate. I just take some white paint, which you'll see in a minute here. I have to turn the camera off here, so I take a break and I come back. Oh, I'm going through right now and picking out some of those phrase and word stickers at the bottoms of the letter sheets. Just a couple that I think will go well with the pictures. One says, "That's my dad," and one says, "Paradise." And here I have just some plain white acrylic paint when I came back and turned the camera back on. It's kind of a last minute thing. I decided I don't want this orange paper. I want it to be orange, but I want to tone it down a lot. So I took the white acrylic paint, put a little bit of water in it, just watered it down a little bit, and am going over the entire page with that, leaving just about a 1/4 inch border around the paper. And I'm not doing anything special, just a sloppy coat of paint over the entire thing. And I think that makes it look a lot better because I've been kind of using orange a lot and starting to get a little bit sick of it. And then when I'm done painting, I take some of the leftover paint and do splatters. So this is one of my attempts at doing mixed media. And then I turn the camera off again and let it dry, air dry, and come back and I tape that down in the center. But I want there to be more space at the bottom for that banner than at the top, so I moved it up a bit. And I just love the way that the pictures look against the paper now that it has that white paint on there. And for the banner, I'm going to take some just natural colored twine, and I'm pulling up the book page and putting the twine in between the book paper and the blue cardstock to make it really look like a banner. And it kind of flows more freely this way, I think, too. I'm going to get that the way I like it, and I'm going to tape those down so that the ones on the end line up with the picture, and then the ones in the center line up with the center of the pictures. And I really like the way that this looks. So once I get those situated the way that I like them, I am going to put the flowers on each spot where the banner meets the photos. And I'm popping those up with pop dots, putting one right there in the center. Oh, I want a little bit of the twine to hang down so it looks like there's maybe a knot there or something, so I like that. And I'm taping down with some washi tape the back side of the twine so that it goes around. I don't have to cut it off and have it look choppy on the edges. I just pulled it around to the side and taped it on the back. Putting some more of that twine down on the sides and my other two flowers on hanging over the edge a bit. I think I like the flowers, even though this is a page about my boys, my husband and my son, and our dog is a boy too. So even though it's a masculine layout, I think the flowers work because they're yellow, and with the blue and orange and yellow and the natural colored twine, I just think that it goes well, and I don't mind using flowers sometimes with my boy layouts. Let's face it, I have all pictures of boys all the time, so if I had a problem with using flowers on a boy layout, I would never be able to use flowers. And I like the way that they look. They're one of my favorite things to use on a scrapbook layout, so I kind of have to use them. So here I'm taking that cut apart sheet, that cut apart card, and I really wanted to use that as the title. Today is a stay-at-home kind of day, but it didn't work as a whole card. So I'm cutting apart each section of it, and I'm going to put that across the top of the photos. I want something to pull it all together, so I'm looking for something to mount those on, and I decide with this pearlized blue strip of scrap paper. So I'm taping those all down so they're straight across, and then I'll trim down the blue just a little bit. And when I stick that on there, it covers up that hole that was left behind at the top of the second photo mat. So I'm just going to tape that so it's in the center at the top of the pictures. And then I think I have to turn the camera off again and come back at a later time. It's been getting harder for me to scrapbook lately, so this video is rather choppy. I had to turn it off and come back several times while I was getting the kids ready for bed, and I think it took me a few days to do this layout actually. Now I'm just adding some little pieces of scraps down underneath the flowers, another little banner shape to go along with the twine. And that one ends up being a little bit too long, so I have to cut it off and make another banner shape at the bottom of it. I really think that I want to put a cluster at the top and the bottom of the page. And I try that sticker in the bottom corner, and this one that says "That's my dad," I like it right there, but it's a little too long and covers up too much of the picture, that I think. So I actually cut around the arrow shape and put that on there, and I like the way that looks a lot. And I start making this cluster at the bottom, and I even cut banner shape in that yellow paper and start figuring out what papers I want to use there before I decide that I don't want to do that. I just want the center of the page to be the main area of this layout. So now I'm looking for some finishing touches. I know I want to use some enamel dots. I love my enamel dots. And I have this little house-shaped paper clip, and it's the right color. It matches that blue cardstock perfectly. And since we're at home, I thought that part worked too. So I just put that up there next to the title. And I go through my homemade enamel dots and I find some white ones. And I just put two next to that sticker and two next to the house at the top. And that's really all I do for embellishing on this one. It's really kind of simple, but I liked the way it came out. I think that the white paint and the splatters on the background really brought the page together. So that is all finished up. Oh, I have to peel back the picture to see what the date is. I always have to do that. You'd think I would remember to write it down before I start, but just put the date there at the top, and then I have some close-ups so you can see all the small clusters and the title and everything. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. See you next time. Bye.